Wowie wowie. We have a PDF. 382 oh my god. No, 18 pages. All right, let's get let's just jump into it. Yeah, very nice. 869 fame. A little disappointed no floor 69 on the dojo, but I'm sure you can do that. What do we have? 60k stat with the ring on?
Yes.
But you're quote unquote only 60k stat and you're hitting 30k culverts with the
Well, like I said, I am cheating with the black heart. I guess I'm 62, right? With Maple Warrior, so.
Bro, I'm like 68 on my arc also with black heart, and I'm like stuck on 27. Well, yeah, I still don't have a roar 4. I don't know how much that's going to be of an increase, but
I feel like it would be a good amount for sure.
yeah, it should. Just like one skill that always hits outside of the roar, so giving extra 100 attack to that skill, plus the extra 25%. Yeah, it's just hard to say exactly how much it's going to be. Plus, I think once I get it, I'll start min-maxing with Fatal Strike as well, which I'm not doing now, so that should add some damage as well.
Yeah, I think if I time my fatals a little better, and I think that just comes down to practice, right? I think I can hit close to like 33.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So,
but, you know,
what are we doing today? Are we just flexing? Are we just showing everything to the chat?
No. I for one, I think it would be cool to see like a little bit of a different perspective, because I know a lot of the progression. Like I've watched, like, just for a chat's notice, right? I watched Scardor since like I first started 2 years ago in like the Dreamer update. So it's just kind of funny to see like where I am now and just like kind of showcase where you can possibly get, with the efficiency and time. If you scroll down to the very bottom of the PDF, I have a couple of questions and topics along with short-term goals and mid-term goals, long-term goals. So pretty much for my progression is just optimizing spending in general for my account as well as for this character, because I feel like I'm reaching the point where everything is going to be like, oh, go for double prime, and I'm like, I don't know about that, that's kind of expensive, right?
Yeah, and we don't know how things are going to change with Mezzo, so I think if anything, potential is probably going to be less of a double priming is going to be less of a top priority, I think, or with that in mind, maybe now the only time that's going to be like a reasonable thing to do before the changes go through. Wait, you're 8 set now too? Jeez. So you still badge or ET, yeah. And if you had both, then you can go back to the other heart.
Yep.
Wow, and then you don't even
idea.
Need a black heart to 9 set.
Yeah, but who knows? Extreme Lotus might maybe like permanent black heart, copium. But
I hope so. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So pretty much my goal for today is just talk about spending money, around my account, because I have about 4 additional characters who do C10 as a party, right? And they're on their way to liberation as well. So I just want to make sure that I spend my money wisely, efficiently, while making gains, and not taking away from my main,
Oh, you don't have a Cont 4 yet? That would still be really good for you, right? For the weekly...
Yeah.
I guess yeah.
Casually a DPM class, but still doesn't get
exactly.
I can't complain. I still have a roar 4 that I happened to hit the same time we got the emblem, and the emblem was like 15 weeks in, 16 weeks in. So
not too bad. Oh, first hat. So how many eternal attempts have you had? Just the one?
Oh, so it took me 8 bill to get to 17, and then first tap 17 to 18, I got the next on privilege of B-wording it. So
nice.
I was like, surely, my goal was like, I'm gonna extend every Eterno to 18, right? And then it's like, oh, it'll be fine. And then I hit the 4-second line in like 10, 12 bill. I'm like, okay, so I'm still way under average. So I may as well just send it. 20 bill, not too bad. And first half, I'm like, I shouldn't have done this. I should have kept it.
I mean, if you put the bar that low, like, there's no way you could possibly fail. And then,
Surely, right?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if what we can do, we can start with the basics, make sure I have all the the foundations, everything good, and then we can just go from there. If that sounds good by you.
Yeah, I mean, I assume, if you're basically have the damage and everything to be like soloing Black Mage. Oh, you got some of the basics done. Let's see. Spending for main, but also between your main and your other characters, right? So what's your weekly income? Oh, here, about 20 daily WAP. So you see about 6 per week. Is what you're saying?
Yeah, about an average.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give or take. Sometimes weeks are less busy, so I do more. But I say average 6 is reasonable.
Yeah, so like 28 bill ish.
Yeah, so it's 28. However, that drops down to about like 20 or 18 because I basically give my other characters an allowance. So whatever they make on their bossing mule journey, they keep that money, and that's the money that I allocate for them for their spending.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
you spend it as you go immediately? It doesn't like.
No. I'm very cheap.
Okay,
I
guys.
only
So say save for
events.
events. Yeah. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Okay. So Arcane's Abzo for future characters. Yeah, you're trying to like pinpoint that spending spot for Hard Lotus Mules, pretty much, right?
Yeah, so pretty much all my characters right now, they're sitting at either like 18 arcanes, or my Night Lord was sitting at mostly 19 Apso and 2 like 21 Apso, right? And he's able to do H Lomian in 26 minutes or so. So it's pretty good. So then the question came from that was just a matter of like, do I still go for 21, especially now that I had 2 of my pieces are still sitting at, one's at 19 and the glove blew up like 8 times just from using spares, right? Or because I just got a full set of arcanes, right? So it's like, oh, do I pivot now? But then I'd have to redo the potential, given the potentials are only at like 24% or lower, right?
Yeah,
so.
there's a few setups there. Like in general, I'm not a huge fan of going for arcanes unless you're going past 19. Otherwise, I feel like it just makes more sense to go 20 or 21 Abzos, especially if you're like making them en masse, because it's easier to just get backups for a while and just wait for either 30% off or 5, 10, 15 or shining and just send to 21, transfer, tap, something like that. Like that's pretty simple to do on mules. I did it on my Fire Poison, but I feel like I overfunded it quite a bit because I also got pretty lucky on the potentials. So
Yeah.
I could go a little bit weaker on the other characters. Plus, the weapon feels like a bit of a waste because with that damage now, can very easily like trio, probably duo, maybe even solo. Like long runs for Hard Lucid and Hard Will. So it makes more sense for me, I think, to go like 20-star Abzo without the weapon and then just earn the weapon like through runs or something and just get the weapon straight up like to like 17. Because I feel like 17 weapon is probably as strong or even stronger than a 20 Abzo, just because of the base differences and everything. And but it always comes down to like what is the peak that you see for the character, because yeah, you can do party, Hard Lucid, Hard Will, start soloing that. You can start doing C10A on all of them. For me, for a lot of the characters, my goal is just like solo Hard Lotus in like under 15 minutes, preferably.
Yeah.
And then just do maybe like normal Lucid, Easy Will, like those, if the character's pretty strong and has some left over. And then all of the weaker crystals, basically up to I do up to the 81 mil crystals.
Yep.
And then that gets me pretty close to 30 bill a week, but that's also because I have some higher end characters. So I got the Arc. Yeah, I got 2 characters with Easy Kalos and Easy Culling.
Yep.
I'm not doing Easy Kalos anymore, or that's like super desperation, so it's on the list, but not doing that. 2 Art Sarens, and then Black Mages, whatever. That's like monthly, so you don't really count for those.
Yep.
So you have 4 in Liberation right now?
Yeah, so my Bishop liberates next month, Dawn Warrior in 2 months, and then like my Shadower in 3 months, and then the Night Lord in 4.
Okay, so they're like staggered.
Yeah.
And are you planning to like keep that up, like one at a time, or?
Yeah, I think that comes down to like long-term goals, right? I think the goal would be, if I really enjoy the character, then I'll get it to 255. Like right now, my hero is 251, and then eventually, once it hits 255, then I just switch over to using like the bonk pots, which is a future question I'll have too. It's like, oh, how do I use the efficiently use the EXP like Forest Blast? I forget what it's called. But those like those points that you can allocate.
Yeah,
you also get like 9,000 inside the
vouchers
from that pay to win thing as well.
Yeah,
because then I was like, my goal would be, I really like Buck. I like the marksman, so then I can bump that to 255, start on that lib journey too. But then that came down to one of my questions. Is like, I do firmly believe, and I'm kind of, my account I feel like it's a proof of principle that you can be 21 on a second main, third main, and then you could still do C10. It might take longer. I mean, obviously it will take longer, right? But it's just the proof of concept that you don't need to go full 22s on the characters in order to do C10 at a reasonable time, right?
Yeah, and
assuming you're going
shifts
for
a whole
Liberation
bunch of exactly. Liberation can be so that's how you want to look at it. Is that it is that 8-month waiting period, but then it does mean that you save a whole lot of money on the way there, and you can start bringing a whole like several other characters up there because that one star that you're saving, yeah, it represents a lot of damage, but it also represents a whole lot of upgrades for another character, way more damage on another character than it would be on that one character that you're getting 21 to 22. So yeah, I'm thinking around, or I'm looking around a lot now with like the combat power to see how much of a predictor that can be in terms of like the funding that you would need to do things in a certain time frame. But there's still going to be a huge class diff between, you know, if you're like a bishop C10A solo or like a shadower, that's probably going to be quite a big like difference in time. So some characters, and that goes for all boss mules for anyone, is that all of the, you know, a character, it's good to have a base idea of like, this is roughly how strong I want to be. Like, do I want to make 20 Abzo or do I want to make 17 or 18 Arcanes? I know that Zelpex, for example, has like 12 bossers and he's like bringing them all up to a certain point. Like he had full Abzo on it, and then he's started doing like exchange carries and getting carried on the characters so that they'll get Arcane, and now he's trying to get them all to 18 Arcane, and once they have that, he's going to get them all to 19. But it's like, you don't have to like keep going. There is a good point where you can just like stop, because it just keeps costing you more money, right? And you will get into the point where you need to do such hard bosses on every character every week before you can start earning back enough money to warrant having made that upgrade. It's very difficult to pinpoint exactly where that is, but if your goal is to be like really like Hard Lotus and below, and maybe if your character is very strong, you can also do Hard Damien. But like Hard Damien, I think already for most classes, I don't think that should be the goal. Because you know what happens, you know, you hit like pitched every now and then. What do you do with the pitch then? I mean, you can't really let them sit in your inventory, right? You're gonna try to tap those, and now they're starting to eat money that they're not really
unnecessarily.
Yeah, their goal is to make money, not to eat it, right? So
yep.
You want to make sure that you can protect yourself as well from like temptation in terms of like getting certain drops. So I think it's, for me, I think my line is there, like Hard Lotus, maybe normal Lucid, maybe between easy and normal Will, but that's honestly, that's more because I want to do like progress for achievements as well, which is completely unnecessary. So that's more like a personal thing. But like Slime will die before test, that kind of stuff. Easily.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I think it's,
because
for most classes, it would be like early 40k stat probably, that you can do that very, very cleanly. But you know, you got guild, you want to be in a guild, you know, you get your guild skills, that takes a lot of the funding necessity away, that kind of stuff. And if you're strong enough, you can do one guild skill 1 month, 2 in the other one. You know, if you bring them up, then and the guild has like full 45, then that can also take some pressure off of, you know, needing to use all your G skills at once. That also means you don't have to AFK if you're doing all your bosses in like 20 minutes. And you can just do next month, you can just do 2 and then switch again the other, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you can alternate.
So that's why, like,
them
for
a
me,
little bit.
if I really enjoy the character, then I'll take them to that Arcane, you know, journey, because then I would just assume that they're going to be starting to do like trading with C10, right? So then they're going to slowly get their Arcane equips, right? But then for my goal would be to have like long-term goal would be have 12 characters who can do H Lotus and below, right? And that way you can always farm, you know, 100% upkeep on the Blackheart, right? Yeah, and it's like you're saying, the thing is, and I know that Scardor touches on this a lot, chat, right? But it's like the principle that how much time are you going to actually sink into the game, because it is an MMO and it's a Korean MMO, right? So the idea is that if you make all those mules and they do Lomian, that's like, you know, H Lomian, that's 30 minutes alone, and multiply that across all the characters, plus all the funding, plus your dailies, you know, plus your daily WAP if you do that, right? Like for me, I tried to set a limit around like 3 hours, 4 hours, right? So that I can still get the WAP and do my dailies, right? Which will segue into another question that we'll talk about later, is just, you know, making sure I do symbols and all those, you know, daily story as well, right? On like, you know, 6 characters now, right? So how do you balance that, et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah,
you know. So
yeah, that's a tricky one. That's all of that is once you get into like whole account progression, it gets pretty personal in terms of because it's a lot of hours. So some content is just very annoying to some people, and some content is pretty enjoyable to others. So some people
Yeah.
just actively just grind on characters instead just for levels. That's more enjoyable to them. I'd be okay with like running Monster Park. Doing that and getting like event exp. Once you pass like 245, you can start unloading the Tenebris dailies onto that, and then just slowly walk them up. And then I kind of just
Yeah.
have in my
Yeah.
head like what is the next milestone that one of those characters reaches that kind of accelerates their progress towards where they want to be, and that's where I would use those exp vouchers and those exp coupons. So I had so one of my boss meals was still 230, and I want
Hmm.
to hyperburn that one. But the way I'm thinking about it is like, yeah, whether I hyperburn from like 230 or 233 or 236, it doesn't really matter. I just want to get it towards 260 faster than actual training would be, right?
Hmm.
Um, so I'm like, well, if I get to 236, then that will encapsulate 235, and that means I can already start doing Asphera dailies and weeklies. To touch on that a little bit, I think symbol weeklies is probably something that should be pretty high on the list because that's just
Yeah.
so cheap in terms of time per symbols. But for like actual symbol dailies, I think at most one per day is probably a good thing to keep your sanity and also to keep your time management like in check. Because you
What
got
about for?
260s as well. Like, do you do Cernium on
Yeah.
all of those? Like,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, that gets wild too. So I think you have to draw the line somewhere at a certain symbol of like, at this point, and there's event symbols that will come out. Like your main is max there, right? So there's one character that you can start throwing extra symbols at if the store allows it and the currency allows it, right?
Yep.
But there's always one character you always want to have in mind, like which character isn't quite yet where you want it to be. Or which character can benefit the most from just getting a little bit of an extra push. And that comes
Hmm.
down to when you're bossing on it on a weekly basis, do you feel like that's smooth and that's where you want it to be, or could it still, because every character can always be faster, so that's not enough of a line in the sand to be like, oh, therefore this character, because that goes for every character. It's more like your personal feeling when you're bossing on the Dawn Warrior and you're doing Sea Gloom. That's fine. If you're doing Fihila, is it like this is like this takes a little bit too long, I'm getting hit a little bit too much, or it's always like almost dead after a burst, and if I had just a bit more damage, then it would save me a whole 3-minute burst rotation or something like that.
Yeah.
That'll give you a bit notes like that will help you, or you want to get to one more boss, but you're not quite there in terms of damage. The Sacred Power, I think, on boss meals is really just there for stat, right? You're not really looking at Saren and all that stuff because that's such a big jump from at 260, because you need like 150 plus at least to do some damage to Saren, right? Otherwise you're always gonna red dot.
Yeah.
Maybe barely blue, but you're probably gonna need to get like over 130 or something, which means if you get 265, I guess you get 2 symbols, so that becomes a little bit more reasonable. But even at level 7 or something, I think it is where I left it for my Cannoneer. Yeah, that's already a lot of dailies to get to that next level. So I usually look at it as how many weeks, or well, how many days, but maybe you can look at it at how many weeks if it's one, smaller number, until
Right.
I get to the next level. And are you willing to put in, that amount of time every single day for those weeks to get the milestone that is on the other, the pot of gold that it's on the other side of the rainbow, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's important to analyze that and assess that, because it's just like you're saying, like if it takes like 3 months to get your next symbol, is it really worth it to do on 5 different characters who aren't going to make that significant gains? So I guess the angle is just approach to see how long it takes to do the boss, and if that gain will actually help your character to do a little bit faster, get chip to that next threshold and gloom, etc. Then that probably would be worth it for that character. Otherwise, I think level 7, level 8, like arcane symbols is probably reasonable as well. It's like for me, just like I saw like in one of like your older videos too. I think the idea is if you do one set of dailies for at least for the vanishing journey, right, you can always guarantee the exp. Like I'm doing on my hero right now, who's 251, and I'm doing Monster Park now, and I get like close to like 18%. from that alone, which is huge. It's like it's gonna hit 255 just casually, just from doing it, right? And that way I can work on my next one. I can maybe use my VIP like EXP things either on my mech that I can try to push for 250 just to get him for that Legion block, or I can actually use the characters that I do want to play, like my buck or my marksman, get them to 235. That way, when the hero is done, it's kind of like the idea is like one in, one out, right?
Yeah, exactly. You always have like a certain position, and you've your Legion is bigger now, so you don't have like, oh, what's the next character to mega burn? You kind of like, that list is kind of depleted, right? But and the list of like which character to Terra burn is probably almost out or completely out at this point as well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, it's all done. I have all 200s.
Yeah. So then that also means that whenever there's an event that gives that kind of stuff, you could just completely ignore it. So that's also like a thing that you can cross off the list. But then the next thing is, okay, which character gets what is the next boss mule you want to make? And then what are the other characters? Because when it comes to just EXP coupons, it's always like EXP per time, right? And one thing I've definitely noticed over the last year is that it's very tempting to like walk a bunch of characters up and like, oh, I'll do dailies on this guy, weeklies on this guy, weeklies on that guy, dailies on this guy. It's like, oh, day's over. And then you do feel like you're, as much as I like advocate for, like you play the game and don't let the game play you, if you don't like take a step back every now and then to be like, oh, I'm prepping this guy for hyper, so I'm doing just these 4 dailies, that's it, okay. And then I'm doing simple dailies on just one character, just one. And I'm doing like weeklies on just one character per day, and then just rotate between the characters, and that's it. And then doing, well, I have 12 bossing mules, so that's just around 2 per day for that. Okay, and then half an hour training on the main. It's like, okay, that's like 6.5 hours per day is like locked in. And then if I want to do anything else, and I need to do more than that, it's like, it's impossible to... So sometimes you really have to look at, like, does the character like really, really need this? Or, if it's just doing Tenebris and then just doing that kind of like for a week and just seeing how much EXP that is that not like a good enough pace, to move forward,
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a lot of discerning. You have to make sure that you know what the priority is, and then you just stay focused on your priority. Otherwise, you just, like you said, the game ends up taking over you accidentally, right? Just because of unawareness or
it'll creep up.
So. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, okay, I mean, that seems pretty good.
Is the main moving towards, like, the next jump, like Chaos Kalos and normal culling?
Yeah, so our party right now is progressing normal culling. We're at the point where we're on P3 for normal culling, where we killed Tiger, and then it's just a it's just a battle of attrition. So making sure that we up jump correctly, because we're doing the cheese strat, right? So we're pretty much there. We have the damage for it, and then for Sea Kalos, we only have one support on our party, so we would need to make sure that our damage is close to at least 55 bill to 60 bill per second, or 50 T, right? 50 T to 55 T. Yeah, that way, and then it's just practicing the boss. But I think that'll be more of an angle when we get to 285 for a majority of our party. And then we just go from there, because it sucks because like Dark Knight is a DPM class, so that our 40 seconds is like crap, in comparison to like others. So
you'd have to fully roar, be roar dependent there.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why, like, even for me, for my 6-job progression, I usually go with like DPM, right? That would be like maxing spear, maxing your eyeball, maxing your Gungnir's descent. But now I pivoted just slightly, so I started doing Calamitous. But like Calamitous, man, it's just it feels like so many fragments for like very little in damage increase, Because it's one of those things where I personally advocate. I feel like Dark Knight should be a 2-minute class, but in KMS they overperform, right? Because attack speed, yada yada, right? So it's just like it's unfortunate, but but it's all good.
I think that is the move, like towards Calamitous and the Origin, right? To make sure that you can hit those benchmarks more equally, because we got the system coming up, and it's gonna be nice for you because we get extra buff duration as well. For Legion Artifact System, that's what it was. But there is I think because everything below that you're already killing without any effort, right?
Precisely, yeah. So it just came down to a matter of like, what if I increase spear, what does that actually do for me, right? And think about it in the sense of like, for me, if I want to use my spear efficiently, I have to be on top of the boss. But if I'm doing the cheese mechanic and calling, I'm never actually going to be on top of the boss. So it's worthless for me to increase spear, In that sense, but of course, like if you look at it from a solo angle, right? It's like, oh, hard Saren solo, Black Mage solo, those kind of things. It's like it increases, but it's not really. It doesn't matter. Like 3-minute difference versus actually being able to push Sea Kalos, right?
And BM solo is only a thing for that long until then, you know, Extreme BM comes into play, right? And then Solo Hard Saren is only thing for that long until you start thinking of maybe of like Extreme Saren. So it's like there's always, yeah, if you're min-maxing for one thing to do it just like a achievement, then you're already ready for the next jump, so you're not going to be running it anyway. You're going to run it on like practice mode, and yeah, it's a, or you know, depending on how much you want that pressure of like doing that every week, of course, because that's more practicing for the boss, and then you know rescheduling if it fails, and you know that's also an extra like half hour and an hour, and that also starts adding up, of course. So you really do have to put your foot down at some point to be like, okay, maybe that's a little bit too early. Maybe we'll wait another month or two, you know, until everyone is like a little bit further, and then we go again, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I guess Extreme BM, like after normal culling and towards sea Kalos, then that becomes something to consider, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think once you get to the point where we can consistently do normal culling, then we're pretty much set to just practice, move on to sea Kalos, because that's like the most major gains, right? Because then at least for Hard Saren, we're still splitting the party so that everyone can get the emblem, right? Making sure that's finished first before we move on. Right? And then eventually it's like, well, what do we have now? It's like, well, I guess if we want to progress in the game, you know, the next content is just Extreme Saren, Extreme BM, right? And just doing it for that for the personal
augments.
achievement. Exactly, it augments.
Yeah, that's basically your mini 23 starring is gonna be augments on your on your pitch. I think it's basically that, right? It's trying to be the 23rd star without having to risk the 23rd star.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's definitely a thing. And then like if you look at my like spares that I have in that one image that I sent, I have like 2 more CFEs and 2 more belts. And it's like, do I just save for, you know, shining and then just try for 23 and that, right? And then it comes down to like, well, my flames on my CFE is like 155 and my belt is like 149 or something as well. So it's like, well, that kind of feels bad because then you'd have to reflame it, etc., right? So. And then there's also the notion of like Cont 4. If I do hit a Cont 4, I don't want to switch out of that, so I need to make another double drop item so I can have it on at all times, you know, etc., right? And just like kind of the angle on that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, for which, I don't know, which bosses would that really be a hassle for though? For you, wouldn't it be a matter of just like kind of just swapping between like Weapon Jump 4, Roar 4, and then doing like the. I mean, and then bursting in that, you'd still be nuking bosses down, right?
In all party play, it would always be switching. Like even for our normal culling, I switch between Roar and Weapon Jump now. So but then it's crazy just because like when I do like my BAs and stuff, it's like running Cont 3 is like 18 bill per second stronger, you know, in a 3-minute BA, right? So it's
then a Weapon Jump or
then Weapon Jump Roar swapping.
Then swapping. Okay.
Yeah, which is weird. But maybe, you know, it's just I'm not optimizing things as efficiently because the Dark Knight Discord says that, you know, in party play, switching is still, you know, better. But maybe that's why, because you're final damage stacking, right? So, yeah, or at least relatively. And then, you know, and then there's also the dilemma that I have with our party, which is that we have like half 2-minute, half 3-minute, right? So we're still trying to figure out, is it better if we just play 3-minute class, right? Or if we play 2-minute and let the 3-minute burst whenever, right? So it's still like finagling around with that and, you know, finding out what works best.
Yeah, it's not ideal. And who's the support?
We have a bishop.
Yeah, and then does the bishop use 2-minute or 3-minute is a big difference, of course.
Yeah, exactly. And then even like looking at all those items that I have, like I feel like I'm just hoarding because I feel bad throwing them away. But you know, I don't have a 22 Guardian Slime that's like a drop, or 21, sorry, Guardian Slime that's drop gear yet. So it's like, well, I guess, you know, I'll just fodder into it because I have the coins, I have the stuff, I have Dom Penance. I tried 123ing a source, and, you know, it blew up like 2021, of course. You know, like you tap it, you transfer, you know, a superior pennant 22 to 21, you tap it goes down to 20, and then first tap 2021. It's like, well, this game sucks, you know. But, you know, you can live the dream. Yeah, so it's like stuff like that.
I guess a decent amount of superior earrings, right?
Yeah, so my drop gear is like 19 right now. So it's like, I guess, you know, just send it to 21 on Shining, and then I can throw away the rest, right?
I gotcha. Yeah,
because it's double drop, so it's like I may as well. Daybreak again is like I have a transpose Sweetwater, so it's like I guess I could technically chuck that too, or I can go for the 23 Dream, which once again I think is just griefing because I may as well just do like a Slime at 23, for example. But yeah,
Slime and Daybreak are like the ones that are quote unquote like most likely the 23, I think.
Yeah.
And then at 23, you can start to go back to Sweetwater, see if you can 23 that one, right?
Yeah, and then go back to Mercy. Yeah.
I mean, it could also be a balance.
So.
It could be like a future balance difference, just like set bonus versus raw damage, right? And Sweetwater versus Daybreak. So I think it's good to just hold. Yeah, I got the 22
definitely.
as well on the Daybreak and on the Arc. And then looking at the math, I think that Sweetwater was slightly better, but my Flame isn't amazing on it, but it's like still the old one. I think it's a little better now, but then, yeah, and then I would have to reflame the Daybreak and make it full 3-line, so I just got drop rate on the 22 Daybreak instead, and then you can always kind of redo that, because then at that point that becomes a small expense to just even making a hybrid out of the potential is just a speeding ticket in terms of the giant project that is redoing entire 22 items and everything like that.
Exactly, yeah.
So what happened to your old superior earring then?
Oh, I still have it. I think it's sitting at like 27% at 22, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and same thing with my belt. I think my belt is like 30% or 27%, something like that as well. I don't have it taken a picture of.
But you'd rather get the 17 with the double drop you have to 19 rather than just recubing the 22?
Oh, I understand. Well, I mean, I already figured that I already have a 19, superior that's double drop, and then I have those like 8 spares. I may as well just try to tap it, you know? Yeah, because I do have the other one, but then it's like I have it just in case that I do want to. Like, I've been messing around doing BAs with 4-set superior versus like 5-set, pitch, right? And turns out, 4-set is just really broken for superior. It's actually it's still stronger by like 8 bill or 10 bill, right? But I was like, okay, I guess that's technically negligible. But at where we're at, every damage is damage, right? Yeah.
But you said
so
compared to 5 pitch, but now you have 8, right?
Yeah. So then the idea would be I would be running what 4-set pitch, right? Because I assuming I don't have the black heart, right? And I swap out my my pendant, and then I swap out the earring, so I get rid of the CFE, so that's 1, and I swap the belt, so that's 2. So I lose 2 from 6, so that becomes 4, right? So 4-set. Yeah, pitch, which then I lose that crit damage, but then once again, and that compared to the 4-set Golics, so.
And that would be better than just like dropping down to 7 pitch without the heart?
Correct. Yeah. So at least when I did the BA, well, the thing is, I didn't do it. I feel like it may be better if I try another BA with the black heart, right? So then I would hit 5-set with 4-set superior, but it's kind of like it's very min-maxy, and I would be using a lot of time just to figure that out. So I just said it's fine, just rock the 8-set and call it a day, right?
Yeah, exactly. How are you looking on hearts right now?
I have 6 in the bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a healthy buffer, but it's not endless, of course. Once you're using them, you start seeing how much pressure that puts on you every week, right? You're like, oh, another week without
exactly.
one. Yeah.
And then it's like you hit in the beginning, and then you go like 8 weeks, 9 weeks. I'm on my 10th week now. I'm not seeing one. It's like, well, 5 characters. It just shows, that's why I want to push as many as I can while spending efficiently, because I don't want to take away from my main contributing to the party, because I'd always feel personally bad if my character isn't contributing equally to the rest of the party, So.
Yeah, if everyone else is on that level, yeah.
Yeah, but I just feel like right now, any gains, like most of my gear, it's pretty much done. It's missing a couple of 33%, right? And I think that the flames are pretty good for where they are. And anything else, like I take a look at the Suckards, or I forgot he changed his name, but his flaming calculator, right?
Yeah. Math Bro or something, yeah.
Math Bro, yeah. But at that rate, it's just like everything is like 40 bill, 50 bill, 60 bill for like 10 flames, right? Or 10 flame score increase. Right?
Yeah, flame score increase. Yeah, you're just. And you kind of want to just wait until the Eternals come online to start throwing black flames at something.
Yeah, exactly.
Or like the stat 3rd line on the gloves and stuff. Hearing how much Kolomara spent on his just makes me want to definitely not ever go in that direction and do that.
especially with the potential, right? That, you know, the idea is all the arcanes get replaced. So it's like, is it really worth it? You know, question mark. Like for me, I refuse to touch my CRA because I know I'm going to replace it with the Eternal. And I'm personally going 17 Eternals first, you know, because I learned my lesson with the hat going 17 to 18. But it's more so because I like I said, I love min-maxing. I love like optimizing my spending. So like if I save that money for cube sale to, you know, pop the top and pop the bottom, then at least I can go for, you know, 33%. And that's like a huge amount of like strength gain at least, you know. Yeah, but like everything, like my 160s are like 140 flame score, my 200s are at 150 or like 155 average, right? So it's like anything more at that point is just so much money, right? Where it just seems like I'd rather use that money to, you know, star up my other characters, you know, get them to do C10 solo or duo, right? Once they live and stuff. So then at least I feel like money is better spent that way.
Yeah, I was thinking, looking at your totems, are the guild totems slightly better?
I think it's like 5 attack better. And then there was the argument that someone told me, like, oh, I should just do U Garden then at that point. I'm
yeah,
like, oh,
I think.
I guess.
Yeah, if you're doing 2. Yeah, I'd have to look at the numbers again. I don't know the U Garden numbers by heart, but it's because one of the Afterlands. I mean, you only can get main stat for 1, right? So.
Yeah,
you'd have
exactly.
14 strength, 14 dex, so you'd be trading 6 strength and 6 dex for 5 attack with the guild. Yeah.
So it's like an adjacent. It's a horizontal.
So yeah, honestly, that would double your damage basically. It's why your party isn't killing Cicalis yet, because.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you don't have the guild totems. Yeah, you're holding everybody back. Yeah, that's what I was trying to expose right there.
Yeah, I even took a look at like there was a GitHub or something that one of my party members shared. I don't remember what it's called. It's a Maple Meta Calculator or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I started using that, and then we took a look at our my weapon and secondary, right? Because I lucked into double prime, right, for like 12%, like 24% attack, 30% boss, and then my weapon is like 26% attack, 30% boss, and then like we tried finagling around, like, oh, what if I do 3-line? It's still like a FD loss, right? So the only gain I would make is if I do, you know, 36% attack on my weapon, you know, versus my 26 and 30 boss, right? And then like my flame 2 is like, I mean, I hit T7, right, T4 or T5, right, for the damage, right? So it's like I could use the black flames to go for 210 attack and, you know, 12% boss.
So,
and that's also like,
yeah, the average cost of. What is it, like 4,000 black flames on average to hit that or something?
Yeah,
or even more than that. Yeah,
at the very least. Yeah, I just know it's extremely expensive, and I'm like, I feel like I'm griefing if I'm re-rolling out of a T7, you know.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the idea with with 3-lining or like double priming 3-lining accessories and stuff as well, right? Is if you were to throw all that money towards a weapon instead and hitting like 36%, the return per money is probably higher to do it on a weapon than to do it on the accessories, but you would have to spend like the money of like 4 or 5 accessories on the weapon to hit it. So you'd have to be saving for much longer to be, and it's kind of the same with the flame, right? It's like if you put all the flames on other characters on the other items instead, you'll see more progress, and you'll get on average all of them like 5 to 10 flame score increase there, but all of that combined total would still probably be less than if you spent the same amount on the weapon. So it's like, are you playing like mid, you know, like are you going for the mid-term on that, or are you going for the long-term on that? So I think when it comes to the potentials, I do understand why people would go like, I'm going all in on a Genesis weapon, because, you know, Genesis weapon is probably the first thing on a new set that is going to get replaced, but we don't even have full Eternal yet, so you're probably looking at least another like 3 years of this being like your main weapon, and you're not moving off of this. So that is pretty solid investment. Same thing with pitch. I don't see them like wanting to get you out of pitch anytime soon. But when you look at like a secondary, you know, is there going to be some extra secondaries coming out? Like we're using Princess No secondaries. You have like base secondaries. That might be something where they want to try to do something. Plus also the amount of junk lines on secondaries is just nightmare. So that might, an emblem is, you know, is Saren. So I feel like secondary is a little bit more, if you're looking at like the project in like years or like almost like decades, right? That secondary seems like a little bit more of a risky one to do. Plus, if you do want to, did you check for your secondary as well? Just 3-line attack on a secondary is still going to be a FD drop for you?
Yeah, it was like a minus like 0.2%.
And that's because that's counting with a roar 4, and the extra percentage attack from the roar adds more damage to your boss damage. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then even for Dark Knights, we struggle to hit like the 600%. Like I'm using 80% boss fams, right? And I'm still not like close. I'm like at 450, 460 or something.
Okay.
With all that, so it's like I still have a lot of room for boss damage gains too.
And your party doesn't add much in terms of damage percent?
It's a good question. We have a hero, we have Kinesis, we have a bishop.
Hero adds damage, right? Damage to crits on a debuff.
Yes.
And then we Kinesis was IED?
I'm not sure.
I think Kinesis is IED debuff, like the little chess piece, right? The yellow chess piece thing? And then 0 is IED as well.
IED, yep.
Yeah. Who even adds damage percent? Arc adds damage. I know that. That's 50% during your burst. You want to Arc in your party?
Nice.
That's not bad, right? Extra 50%.
Yeah. Yeah, you know it. But yeah, I totally get what you're saying, though. Like, I was even, like, hypotheticaling that, too, where it's like, well, if they replace the secondary, replace the boots, replace the cape and the gloves, right, that's a 4-step right there for something. Right, that they could do in the future. So it's like, yeah, I think I'm leaving my WSE as maybe if at all I could go for my emblem, but it's just like you said, it's 600. I think it's like 500 bill or something to get 33 or 36% attack. But then if I look at the cube calculator for 36% on like the slime ring, double priming your accessories, it's like 40 bill, right? So that's 10 items I could technically double prime within that same amount.
Exactly. Like I said, it's like at least 5 items. Yeah, and
so
the other question is also, typically the jump to like 2 really good lines and like a shitty 3rd line on like a bossing mule on WSE towards 2 lines and a good line, or even 3 line, then that one, you know, like how emblems is like on a cube sale is like 30 bill on average, right? To get 3 line attack on an emblem. If you get that on like some bossing mules, that would be like a huge jump there. Again, like with that amount of money, that's like a whole account full of 30% emblems basically for that one upgrade, and that means that everything else will scale much better on the bossing mule, give you your hearts, keep up your set bonus. Like, yeah, it's really hard to say like this upgrade is like the one that will give your entire account more value than this other one, because there's just so many options when you're talking really realistically talking about trillions of mesos instead of, you know, no longer talking about like billions or dozens of billions.
Yeah, exactly.
It becomes like I said, like it becomes like a project of like months to years to maybe even like half decades if you're looking at it in like the super long term. I think there's still, I mean, if you want to like finish off and 3 line everything on like a cube sale, that's probably where I would look at. Like the shoes, the shoulder, the well, not the cape, but like the shoes and the shoulder, like that kind of stuff. Maybe the CRA still, even though Eternal's on the way, you're still gonna hold on to this for quite a while, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or you gotta get 17 pieces and then immediately switch over once you have all 3 17, but you have no pieces right now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so the goal, because I get I get the top and the bottom in about 3-4 weeks, and hopefully cube sale is in like late or like during anniversary event. So then I'll have enough time to at least do that.
Yeah, if you,
and then hopefully, exactly.
Then you can skip having to go on the CRA. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's I mean, I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to that too, because like the flame is good enough, and then the stats like, well, I'm losing 6% on my like top because it's like 24% or 20, or it's like 6%, and then 3% on my bottom. So it's like, okay, and that's 9%, right? You know, which is you know, at our level, it's not insignificant, but the point is like, it's just I'm wasting quote unquote money. Yeah. But the argument, that counter argument is like, well, you're using it for a while. Exactly. Yeah, right. 6 as well. So 12. Yeah, so it's 12%. And then the counter argument that the party says is like, well, you're probably going to be using that for quite a while still, you know? So I was like, I don't know. I guess I'll find out when I have 3 set, and we'll see how much the damage difference is. So
yeah, and then do a BN, and you're like, oh, this is actually not that big of a difference. Then you can already try to do like Eternal to 18 to make it a bigger difference. And then if something booms again, then you can always go, okay, CRA to 30 then now. Because now I'm going to hold on to it for at least another extra 5 to 10 weeks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So then it becomes more worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that there's just 2 pretty much angles. Or I think the general community has been saying, oh, just 22 a hat and then go 17 for the others, and you're probably fine. But for me, it's like, I'd rather just roulette it. That's just my personal take on it. So especially then since I learned my lesson going 17 to 18.
Well, that's the other thing. You can have a perfectly made plan, right? And then the first thing that could possibly go wrong immediately goes wrong, and then you immediately completely change your plan. Because even if on paper it seems like a
Yeah.
great plan, you're still RNGesus is still just in there, just swinging his dick around, and yeah, he could just
Yo,
smack you,
yo.
and yeah, and it can go every which way. So it is a good idea to stay
Yeah.
flexible in that and be like, well, this is, mathematically this is a good plan, and it's, but also be able to do, like, just not because you started that plan at some point that you can never reassess or be like, well, we're not gonna do that, we're gonna do something else,
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
yeah, it's fine to be flexible with that.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, because you have to be able to, pivot,
Mm-hmm.
when necessary. So
Yeah, and that's
yeah,
what I try to say, like, people who are earlier in the game, right? It's like, oh, what do I do first? What do I do first? It's like, just look at what is the lowest risk, right? So if you end up getting, like, 6 kind of treasure rings, then that'll be a higher priority for you. And if you get only 1 Dominator, then maybe you want to be more careful with that, or just wait longer and kind of leave that out and focus on something else first. It's all about,
yeah,
seeing what cards you're given and then playing that hand.
right. I guess segueing to the next topic that I wanted to briefly touch upon was
Yeah.
the spending, right?
Mhm.
So the idea of what I have currently and so far is that I allocated my allowance to each of the kiddos so that they can spend their money and make some gains.
Mhm.
But the other perspective is if I just pool one character at a time, right? So
Yeah.
like right now for my dedicated money I have for my Dark Knight is whatever he makes from his, which is like right now I have like 80 bill in my inventory and then like 100 bill on my bank. So that 170 would go towards finalizing any last gears, like going for those double prime if at all, or going for my Eternals, getting them to 33% first, right, etc. And then each other character, like my Bishop, has like 70 bill right now. So in total, like, I have like 300 bill across my entire account, right? But is the angle to finish, like when Shining comes up, just finish one character at a time and then move on to the next? Or do I just like slowly like creep everyone up to like 21 and then it's et cetera, right? Because that's kind of like a difficulty where I'm facing, where I would personally just just spend a certain like 50 bill. Each character just gets 50 bill. Whatever they gain is what they gain, right? Versus like, oh well, you can guarantee that like if you spend like 120 bill, that character would be done, for example. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, you have to determine what is done, right? So
Yeah.
So I would say, like, once you have that goal per character, and different characters might have different goals based on what they can already do, but I would just try those runs, like try all those hard Lotus solos, and just kind of just feel out where they are, because probably some of them are already good, and they actually don't really need money, but it's more like a want or can in terms of spending rather than a need. And I would probably prioritize getting all of the characters, the needs up to. So if that means spending like 75 on one and only 25 on another one, that seems to be that it's probably going to be more likely, or at least budgeting that much, right? Because you could say like you could budget 50 for all of them, and then one character is going to be done in 12, and another character is going to need like 90 or like 110, right? Because you're looking more in terms of the big picture, in terms of the averages in your entire account than just one character, or not even one. Like when you're starting off, you're looking at the average for one item, right? And then you start looking at averages for an event of like 4 or 5 items. Then you start looking at the average for entire character, and now you're looking at the average for entire account. So I would try to look at every character individually in terms of what they can offer in terms of money, depending on how much you like it, and then how much money they can make you. That's cool. But then for every individual character, you have like a different amount of upgrades that they would need to get to the point where you want them to be.
Yeah, I think I understand what you're saying, because it's like at the end of the day, it's just just to touch briefly, like my H Lotus meals right now, they do H Lotus, except for my Night Lord, which is like the 21 episode dude. They do H Lotus in about like 6 to 9 minutes. So depending on the character, like my Bishop does it in like 6 minutes, my Shadower does it in about like 8 minutes, my Dawn Warrior does it in about like 8 minutes, right? And then my Night Lord's the only one who takes a little bit longer, but that's because he doesn't have a roar, right? So he's just working with what he.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing is like the rings. That's the sooner you start like exchanging on the harder level bosses to get your arcanes, that's also way more chances for high level boxes for rings, right? And
precisely,
when I'm talking about like, oh, get your 15% ID familiars, that's like way away from where you were, and then like getting reinforced Golics. If you're planning on going this hard, skip that and immediately go for hard Golics. Then you've got like be in a guild, get your guild skills, all of that stuff, and then the jump after that is if you don't have the ability, the access to do like the exchanging for arcanes, then you just, go for high Star Force Absos. That's really good value for your time. But if you do have the value, start exchange carrying and start working your characters into getting arcanes. But the next step after that is trying to get rings on them, because that is like, it's like guild skills squared or something, right? In terms of the damage gains that they can get and how much more damage you can squeeze out of like an individual burst, in terms of making the boss run shorter, making it so that there are fewer like bad patterns and shitty things that happen that can get you out. Because if you're really trying to get past Hard Lotus, even, and you're trying to consider like maybe doing Sea Gloom as well, because Sea Gloom has gotten a lot closer to where like Hard Lotus and Hard Damien are, right? Because they just made it easier. It's a little bit longer because of the open, so it's much more burst oriented. But like your Night Lord having Dark Side, and if you get a ring there, your Night Lord will be able to make the jump towards something like Sea Gloom pretty easily, probably, because it's so burst oriented on those opens. But then something like the Shadower probably will struggle a little bit more because it's a little bit more DPM oriented, right?
Yeah.
So
and
certain characters might get like to the next step. So certain characters might be like, for this one, it's realistic to actually start looking at the next boss, and for other characters, be like, nah, that the amount of funding you would need to do that. It is okay for characters to do different content, right? Based on what you enjoy doing and what their kit just allows you to do. Because you want to not... Because I'm not saying it's like a bad move to say like, I want to spend about 50 bill per character. That's like a good idea to have in your head. But I wouldn't say like, all these characters need to do all the same, so I need to give them all the same amount of money, because there is just a big class difference still, like at this, or already at this level. Plus, the origins also, you have to play around the origins. For some characters, just unlocking the origin is like an insane amount of damage. For some characters, you need like the mastery core, for the 6 job to start doing anything at all. So you'll need to train a little bit more, unlock the mastery core. Maybe one boost node is also super necessary to just get that. If all your damage comes from that, extra 11% final damage on that is huge.
Yeah,
so,
definitely.
Yeah, that's something that you have to feel out per character. But if you're saying like they could do it under 10 minutes already, that's already super fast. They seem like super juice. I would already start working towards like the next character and start bringing that one up, honestly.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the two angles that I have is either make sure my characters are able to duel or even solo C10 in a reasonable time once they live, right? But then the hard part is I can't really gauge that until I live, because I like right now it's like, I can do 10% in a burst or something. It's like, well, how much is that actually doing, right? And then because lives like 20% FD, for a lot of characters, 30% for some characters, right? So it's kind of hard to gauge. Like the ultimate goal for me would be like each character can do like the liberation characters. So that would be my bishop, my shadower, my night lord, my dawn warrior can do one set of at least 2 of the C10 bosses, right, in 30 minutes, and then that would be like a reasonable goal. So then it's like, how do I, advocate for that? So it would be like, okay, 21 arcanes is probably good for that, right? And now it makes me wonder, should I pivot my Night Lord, who has 21 Apsos and 21 Apso weapon? I just got a arcane weapon. I have 4 months, like 3 or 4 months left until he liberates. Do I pivot now to the arcane using a full 17s, right? So that's where like I'm trying to advocate or allocate my money while still not taking away from my main, which I think my main is, in my personal opinion, at a pretty good spot where he doesn't need to spend too much, just fixing up like getting those 33%, and I think that's a good settle.
Yeah, well, with the income, what I'm looking at is that you're kind of sitting at a bottleneck in terms of levels. Is that you don't really have like the hero, can probably take like a whole bunch of funding, but after that you have a big gap, right, with the mechanic. And it's kind of thing that I had for a long time, was like really focusing on one character, and then when my arc got to 280, my second highest character was at 252, and then I had like 2 or 3 more 250s, and then it was like 220s, and that was it. And I was like, there is not a character at every stage of the game. But I'm also thinking about like from content perspective, right? Like if there's someone like, oh, can you help me with this boss? And then I have a character that's roughly around that level where I'm not carrying them, I'm not getting carried, like I can somewhat play for the content around that level. I always have a character at my disposal that can kind of do that stuff. Like, I don't know if you have the same desire to, like, with people in the guild or with friends, it'd be like, I want to do something, and you're like, oh, I have a character that can carry its own weight, but that doesn't bring artificially carry you, but it also doesn't like weigh you down, kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's a good point, because like for me, I'm open to doing things. It's just the hard part is just scheduling, right? And I don't want to schedule any more than I already do, especially with all the hard bosses that I do. Like I already schedule my bishop for like Nitai and YK, right, in the guild, right? And I do like my duels for like H Luo with morale from the guild and stuff as well. It's like, well, hey, are you free? No, sorry. Like, oh, are you free? No, I'm working. Hey, are you good today? It's like, it just becomes a pain. So that's why, like, for me, it's kind of like all the other characters try to solo progress, and then if I can pick up duels just by asking, hey, anyone free, and then we want to do it, then that's my end goal. So then I think the idea would be I can push my buck with the level pots to get him to 235. That way, when my hero is at like 1,000 arcane symbols, right, that's enough to do well, right? So then he can just do, he can do, at a reason. Like my biggest thing is I don't mind carrying people, but like when I get carried, I don't like to have them wait for me. Right, to do the 5%. I just just do your thing, and then I can hit the 5%. Because I'm very like considerate when it comes to their time. So, Yeah,
then if you're duoing, that's easier, and then if you're like 6-man, it's also easier. But then in between, it's a little harder. Yeah.
Exactly. And then you have that one random 280 in the group who just like destroys the boss, and you're red dot. So that's the stupidest change that I've heard from Maple. But I'm sure there's been worse.
It's up there with like in terms like kind of like a small thing that actually has like a really big impact on how players have to approach the game. When you were talking about like double so because what I'm thinking is if you can like 2 or 3 man like C10 stuff, you're probably good to you can duo, but maybe you want to speed it up. Maybe someone else is joining for boxes, and then you exchange for a while, that kind of thing. And you with a duo, you clear the bosses in like whatever, like 15 minutes or something like that. That when the liberation comes, some of the bosses will get a lot faster, but they get like if you still have like liberation and rings coming, you're probably already pretty close to the funding that you're gonna want to be able to like kill 2 of them. But so have you thought about that like completely? If you want to have like these 5 characters or 6, I don't know if you're including the hero with that, to be able to do like those C10A bosses. So, well, 4 then, right? Because your main character is going to do them way faster.
Yeah.
But if you have like 4 or 5 and you do 2 C10As in half an hour, if you do like all the other crystals combined, that's going to be at least another half hour just moving there and looting everything and like switching gear and all that stuff all the time, right?
Yeah.
So like an hour, you're thinking about like an hour per week per character?
Pretty much, yeah. I think that would be the goal, and then obviously the goal is that if they can do it, great. If I have the time to do it, that's good. If not, I'll just run normal, right? Because normal should just blow up, and at least
exactly.
Yeah. So then the goal, like right now, like I've been doing it. I've been doing trades for a while with a couple of my friends, and it's like my bishop has like weapon jump and like totaling, for example. My shadow just got a cont 4. My night lord just got a cont 4, and once again, this is like after like 15, 16 weeks of trading, right? And my dawn warrior just hit a cont 4 too. So like that's everything has improved like a lot significantly because of that. So I just want to make sure I'm on the right page. That if I want to approach the angle of hey, I would love to be able to solo 2 C10 bosses in 30 minutes and then just clear off the rest normal, whatever it might be, because like who doesn't want an ET, who doesn't want a a source, right? But I don't want to deal with Dark Knell, for example, unless it's a Night Lord where you just sit there and you just burst and you just go AFK, right? It's like stuff like that. It's like things to keep in mind. But I'm not sure if I fully answered your question.
Well, I mean, it's I guess more the matter of if I'm answering your question, I guess with questions sometimes, because like my hero was able to like solo hard Fiala in about 15. And then, but like so, and then that's with healing femmes. So like, see, Gloom will be faster, and then Dark Knight will be slower. So that's like the level of funding you're kind of looking for, which is basically just right on 50k stat. So you can do that with like 19 arcanes, and then everything else 21, and then maybe CRA to 22, something like that. But then you'd need pretty good pot, and good flames. But that is. Like it's right on that bridge where I think you can get away with it without 21 arcanes, but some classes will probably want to jump up to 21 arcanes, but then you can also leave the CRA at 21, and then that doesn't have to go to 22. Then you can skimp off a little bit there, because the extra stars on arcanes are going to give you way more than the little bit of stars on CRA would.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
true.
and then if something hits like
Yeah.
a 3-line attack emblem or like a really really nice secondary, you know, then maybe you can get away with a few stars less. And then
Yeah.
it's always those things where I think if you're starting to approach the level of funding that you know you're roughly gonna need, but you haven't hit Liberation yet, you haven't hit like maybe you have a 3 ring and you're still looking for a 4. I think it's a good idea to just like pause on funding and just gather backups and start funding on the next character. And then when you make that upgrade, then like reassess with the 4 ring, like is it exactly where you want it to be, or do you still need a little bit more? And then be like, oh, I still need a little bit more. Oh, cool, I have like 4 arcanes lying around. There's a 5 and 15 coming around. I'll just tap for 2 more stars here and there. Then
Gotcha.
it's okay to like pause projects, you know, temporarily. And when you know there's still some of those, you know, those big jumps that I was talking about, when those come up, yeah. Because I don't think, there's like another step above that, of course, is trying to get like boss fams on like C10 characters, but that's like another level of I'm trying to solo like all of my bosses in my entire account in like 45 minutes tops, you know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe like trying to like solo normal Saren in there, you know, like you're trying to get like, to that level. And then it's like, I mean, at that point, well, that might happen for like one character in your account, right? But probably not the bishop, because then the bishop is going to always disproportionately need way more funding to be able to solo those things. So it's the time it takes you to earn back is always going to be harder. But then again, this bishop might be able to join Kalos and like calling parties earlier, and if they let you blue and you can get into Eternals faster, then that will take pressure off of the funding of the other items. And it also, we're going to see that shift now, is that a lot of people are not going to 22 arcane anymore, because it'll just be good enough to 21 arcane and get all the other stuff upgraded and be able to start working on Eternals and start like phasing out arcanes already before 22 actually becomes reasonable. That's going to start happening.
Especially since it's a long-term project, you know, like or at least in terms of the account, right? Yeah, because at least for my main, I always say if it's your main, just full send it all the way, right? Because that's the one that you're gonna fully do like all the content with, so you may as well just progress, right?
Yeah.
But if just like you're saying, if like the next Eternal piece is already out, then you may as well set it at 21. It's like the same thing that I'm doing with my CRA right now, where I'm just keeping them at like 22, but they're at like 24% strength, because I know Eternal is just around the corner for me, and around the corner being like 5 weeks to 10 weeks, right? Yeah,
and CRA is fine for that, where you can push really hard on the Star Force because you have so many backups, and then you don't go as hard on the potential because it's so inefficient with, especially the top is the worst one, right? The pants are okay because the pants are like the same as shoulder, I believe, but the top is considerably worse, and then the hat is the worst. But you're always running that with bright cubes anyway to get that cooldown reduction. Did you see the 122 hat that the Dark Knight has with 6 seconds cooldown?
I did. I shared it with like everyone on Discord, and I'm like, that could be me.
One day.
It's crazy. Yeah, the guy is in another guild that one of my my Shadowers is in, and I talk to him every now and then. I was like, dude, your hat is crazy. Like, do you know how many people would want that? It's like, he told me that I looked at that thing for a solid 30 minutes. I'm like, is this real? Did this actually happen? And then,
just like take a picture and frame it on your wall just to look at it.
Honestly, no, seriously, it's quite an achievement. It's like probably more than 1 T for that line and potential. Like, think about it, 3 triple prime and a 2 second, because remember 1 second is also prime, right? So it's just like, it's ridiculous.
Could be a Q, honestly, because like 6 is a, because Trillion, I think my flame on my weapon on my Cannoneer was like was like 15 to or like 30 trillion or something equivalent. And that doesn't even have any tier 7s on it. That's just like 6665 like on the lines to hit. So if you're looking at potential, and then like you said, you have the 1 second and the 2 second, and then you're hitting the 3 on the bottom line. Yeah, that's well, I guess we can
it's ridiculous.
Throw it into a calculator and just kind of see how much it would be, but it is something. Yeah, I think ridiculous is the right word.
Yeah, I think so.
Might take a little while to hat. Does he even have an option for it? -6.
-6.
19.3 trill.
Quadrillion? Wait, trillion?
Yeah, no, we're not quite there yet, but we're like 150.
861,000 black cubes. That's all you gotta see.
2% of a quadrillion. Yeah, that's the average. So if you go to 75th percentile, you're already at 1.2 million.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, it's like 40-something% extra.
Yeah, so 1.2 Q, no problem. I don't even know how long that would take. I don't even want to think about
you
it
have a
either.
3 now, right? Yeah, I don't know if you ever looked
Yeah,
at
I
like
have it.
4 to
Yeah, I
see if
have it
that's
3.
worth it.
Yep.
4 looks like it's 36 bill. That'd probably
Yeah.
be something to chase around the same time or a little bit earlier than if you're trying to like double prime 3 line on accessories and stuff, right?
Yeah, I took a look at I put level 200, and then I did 4 second with stat for my Eternal, and
Oh yeah,
it's
200.
like
Yeah.
close to like it's like 100 or something.
Oh yeah, but the plus stat.
With stat, yeah.
That's like, oh, this is like 230. This is like
Yeah.
rolling 2-line crit damage on a glove and then just adding stat, and then it just goes from like being reasonable to being absolutely ridiculous in terms of value per cost. And it's one of those things where you just have to hope that there is something on that third line when you hit 4, but don't count on it, kind of thing.
Yeah. Do you think it's better because since my gear is pretty much done, it's still more effective to go for the the glove with stat than it is to go for the Eternal hat with stat? Because like price wise, it's like half the amount, right?
It's 54 for the glove. It's well on average. I think Colomara spent what 160.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
and he ended up with an all stat line too. It's like,
you could hit in 2 bill, or you could hit in like 180
or
on a cube sale, right?
Yeah. Well, my hero's first double crit damage line was one with 10 strength, so that guy just
that's crazy.
Instantly locked in, of course. Yeah, and then
that's like 1 out of 8 characters, all right. So
yeah. Well, my paladin has my DA has the same line, so the double crit damage with line of strength, and then my arc has the HP prime line for the third line. So if those two could swap, that would be like the golden golden moment. Yeah, 4 seconds. It seems like 213. So that's like 4 times the amount of money.
Yeah, because I have 170 save right now, so I would spend all the money I saved for a chance to hit, 4 second with thing. But I was like, you know what? I'll just keep 4 second for now, because once again, it comes down to opportunity cost, right? 160 bill that I could spend on all my other characters. That's
all the other things combined, yeah. Well, and then it becomes time, right? Because we were talking about it in the way in the beginning. What I started noticing is that you can feel like, oh, it's just like 3 minutes here, 5 minutes here, like it's not that much, but then you start seeing that your whole day is basically already booked without getting to do anything extra. And then anything that happens, like, oh, a boss isn't cleared if you're trying to do a higher level boss and we need to reschedule, it's like, ooh, where do I fit that in? And then you have to start Tetrising a whole bunch of stuff in your schedule, right? So
yeah.
If you can shave just like a minute off of your bossing mules like every week, and it's like 6 of them, it's like every single time it just adds up. So it is nice to keep progressing, but yeah, there's a limit to I would hope that progress comes in terms of just like drops that you hit that are like kind of done, like a better ring, or you liberate, that's something over time, and then a one-time investment into a weapon, but not like, oh, I'm gonna start to try to get full pitched here, and God forbid, like I'm gonna need like black hearts to like maintain set bonus on here, because then
definitely not.
You're setting yourself up for
way too much.
Yeah.
I think overall, for my characters, I just want them to be able to if I'm going to duel it or like get carried, I want them to make sure that for my future characters, right? Like my buck, who I want to hit like 250, 255, or my hero, what is the damage or combat power? I mean, this is why I waited till this moment to see like all the different combat powers, right? But like at 255, will 21 Apsos be enough, or 19 Apsos be enough, really, right? Where I can just park them there, let them, party in a C10 boss, or go with a friend, and so that they can just eventually hit the ring box, and then that's when you can push the character more, right? So it's like it's just all incremental. It's like, oh, he hit a ring, now I can try to push him a little bit further so that he can do duel,
and you can have a more like hands-on experience as well with how much the ring really affects their damage, and how big that jump needs to be after that, because you could just do a BA and kind of see like, okay, am I really close now, or am I still like, this is still nowhere close? Because I can check my I have to check how much everything gives here, which buffs and toggles and everything, because it's like boss damage. So I'd have to adjust the Legion, because my fire poison. So this is the one where that was my hyper burn, where I was like, I want to definitely be able to do Hard Lotus pretty quickly, and then everything below. But I feel like I overfunded this one. I also lucked out with like a bunch of the potentials are kind of crazy here. So I 3 line on the heart, 3 line on the cape, double prime 3 line on the shoes. This is just some dumb shit, basically.
It's always on Apsos.
27. Yeah. But potential badges does skew it a little bit, but like 27 pants, 30 top, like it's better
crazy.
than yours, right? This hat hit in like a bill, so like 3-second cooldown with a line of stat, which is stupid. Crazy. 30 on this.
30, it's 112 flame too. That's crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's what the 48 and 5 here, 68 and 4. So it's all just very solid. The ring. So the rings are basically kind of weird, like because I have an event ring that's 27, 21 Meister that's 27, and a 70.
Yeah, right.
Because this is already like so much. So I could have, if I had gotten worse potentials on these in like the same money, then I would right now still be trying to push those rings, but and it's not with a continuous 4 like or 3 even on this guy. I don't have a continuous ring, and on a fire poison, if I hit one of those, the entire damage like changes so much and gains even more than that. So I think, yeah, leaving out the weapon, going towards an arcane weapon, which will probably be, it's a longer wait, but then you have a more cost efficient thing. And just hitting like 2 lines and maybe something useful, but yeah, of course this had to be an attack line. But that's also still something I can do if I ever want to push him like further to another place. But I guess I could switch the link skills in for you to kind of check like what kind of combat power I end up with.
Yeah, so you said that he set that H Lotus, right? H Lotus below, and then does he do any C10 at all in like a party or with duos or anyone?
No, because I'm doing that on a total of 5. Well, so I'm soloing on 2, and I'm doing like parties. I'm doing 2 character duos, and on 1 character a trio. So I could. I definitely could with this. Yeah, I could with this one, but it's just, it just keeps adding up. And why I could do it temporarily to get the ring, but like I said, I'm already doing the damage and already doing the things that I want to do. If I got the ring, then I would probably unlock like soloing hard lucid on hard will on this guy.
Yeah.
But then I would feel pressured every week to do that on top of everything I'm already doing.
Exactly.
Then I need to take 2 or 3 times per week to do the G skills, or what you can end up doing is just running all of the weaker stuff completely without G skills, because let's face it, you're really only using like 10 to 15 minutes of your G skills on like, but like slime dies like halfway to the first test or something on this guy. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And the Lotus run,
I think
it was a little bit tough in the beginning, but it got a lot easier as I practiced more. And specifically, I was doing it for a long time without my Origin. And then with the Origin, the extra bind, the extra iframe on Hard Lotus, that makes it way easier. So I would be more inclined to say like push the character to 260 rather than throw like 100 billion on the character. Like I would say first get to 260 and try Hard Lotus like that with all of that, and then go from that point to see like how much more do you need and what can you realistically get access to in terms of G skills, exchanges, in terms of gear and ring boxes, that kind of thing, and then let that like those big chunks determine how much money the character still really needs.
Yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think like right now, since I'm trading like H Lomian with one of my friends, so pretty much what we do is we just try to gear each other up for spares for Apsos, so we just tap directly. Even though you could fodder, it's just like it's up to you. It's up to the individual. It just since we have the option to do so, and it doesn't take time. Like I said, they're dealing the damage, and I'm getting the 1.8 P within that 3-minute solo, right? So it's just like that's what I've been doing, and just rolling up the characters so that I always have, once again, something in, something out. Once a hero hits eventually 260, great. Now I work on my next character, bonk him up to 235, do dailies as need be. I was gonna ask, that was one of my questions. Do you do more than the weekly PQs on like multiple of your characters? Because it is like it's like 45 symbols, so it's a pretty good investment for time, I think. But at the same time, it does become a lot. So I was just wondering what your opinion on that was.
Yeah, on characters that become Hard Lotus mules, I probably should be. Right now, I'm still focusing on just doing it on 1. And then if I have time throughout the week, or it's almost reset and I kind of did everything, but I still have a little bit of time, maybe I'll do another one. But right now, it's more like, because I'm also doing it differently, right? So my efficiency per time that I play is very low, because I'm just hanging out with chat and answering questions, and sometimes doing bosses that I don't really need to do, or showing something. So I lose time there. But if I was playing more efficiently, I definitely would be adding that into the cycle, because it's just so many symbols for so little time And eventually, if you want to be like a Hard Lotus Mule, maybe not like level 20 symbols, because that's another thing, right? That's just an arbitrary, like that's the max. But like I said, if it takes so many weeks to max, maybe you're okay with like 18 or something. You know, that's also a lot of stat already. And what some people do is they look for like 1140 to hit bonus damage on will, so they can more easily hit the mark there, right? So you can hit your blue ball there, so you can get arcane backups there, and twilight marks, that kind of stuff. So that could be a goal to set as well. That seems like a pretty reasonable thing, where you're not quite maxing all of them, because you're 13, 20, 11, 40, so you're missing 180 over 6 symbols, so 30, so like 17 all, something like that. That seems like a pretty solid as well. I have a thing where I already have 7 characters maxed on this account and like another on another account. So I feel like if the character is going to go to 260, I'm just going to keep doing dailies on it to max it. But this guy, I mean, by the time I got to 260, I kept doing Monster Park dailies to get the Monster Parker medal on it that I didn't have yet. And then I kept doing symbol dailies as well, just because I saw that I was going to max both of them out around the same time. And also Cernium was going to get to, to 8. I got to 8 on Cernium because there were some that I could buy from an event shop, and my other character already had it maxed. I was gonna get exactly to 8, exactly maxed arcane symbols. The EXP daily from Cernium was gonna fill out all my rocks exactly, so it would unlock my my origin skill and my 6 jobs.
Right.
And then I do end up at 263 with 13%, which is a little bit weird. But those other milestones were like the goal, and it just ended up working out like that. But yeah, if all of my symbols would be like at 19 and a little bit at that point, I probably would have kept them at 19. Because at that point, it's just more a mental thing. Like, are you okay with the fact that they're not maxed versus... Because like I said, this guy is already kind of overfunded for what I want him to be able to do. So it wasn't that necessary to get those levels. But then another class, it might be a little bit more necessary then. So you'd have to be flexible with just moving another character in there in that same time slot. But I did enjoy the time right after this character was kind of done. So I wasn't doing Sweetwater anymore for Dineros to try to get like because I was trying to 21 the tattoo and the pennant, and they both went without booming, so that was like, oh, I don't have to do that anymore. And Pink Bean Mark, I was doing daily normal Pink Bean for a while just because they just kept booming. And then eventually you hit 20, so that's the thing you can cross off your list. And like even if it's just like a minute or two, but it keeps adding up, and it's also another thing that's just occupying brain space. And then right after this character was like done with all of those things, and it's just a matter of like logging in, culvert, slam the bosses, maybe a flag race if I need to, and then log off. And it's like, damn, now that cleans up so much, and then the next character can get the love and attention that it needs.
I think I get that perspective, and I think that's pretty much similarly my approach to it. I just want to make sure that they do enough. I think it really does come down to two things, which is one, what is the character in need of, right? That way you can allocate the funding for that character, like a bishop, was gonna struggle in like solo bossing. But if I'm always gonna do it, I don't actually need to fund it that much because the other characters gonna love my support. Like when I go with Nitai, he goes from like 20 bill lines to like 50 bill lines, and he's like, whoa, look how strong I am. So for Bishop, you could fund it for duoing and just making sure that you're easily green, but like probably maybe sometimes you fall into blue, but you're probably going to be green plus. And then that funding would be enough, and then you duo. Because I was thinking as well, like my Adele right now, I'm doing it with Rise with Omri, because I'm like, well, he doesn't mind duoing on it. It'll be a little bit more money for him than soloing normal, and it's a little bit slower, but it's fine, and it's something, you do something with a friend every once in a while that's nice. And then if there's a Berserk drop, he can have it, and if there's a heart that drops, I can have it, because again, like I don't want that pitch. That's just like a money sink potentially for me. Like I don't need that. Right. So if I know that I can leverage whatever position and make sure that I can have access to the heart, then I don't really care. Again, like that's maybe 200 mil on a crystal loss, but 200 mil on a 25 to 30 bill total per week, that doesn't even register, right? So no big deal. If that means that I don't have to get all of my 17 star superiors to 21 and all of my 17 arcanes all to 19, or if I can just look at what backups that character has, send those easy ones that I have plenty of,
and not go into the riskier stuff and already get what the character wants, that's a deal for that character. Move on to the next one, you know?
Right, right. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
I wasn't equipping one item here, but I think it was around 56 mil on this one. But the hero is, I think, more... Yeah, the hero is definitely like an order of magnitude stronger because this guy has 20 Abzo and the hero has 219 and 321 arcanes. And most of that is also just because running Hard Lotus or Lucid Hard Will for a long time, just getting a lot of boxes and just sending it because it made sense. Like the weapon, the marksman, and the hero both had 21-star arcane weapons. Because I just had like 9 backups well, when I had like 4 or 5 backups, I just sent it from 17 to 19. And then when I had like 7 backups or something, I just, even without safeguarding, just sent it to 21. Because that is the beauty about having a lot of arcane backups, is that you can start sending without safeguarding. And that actually saves you a lot of money. And that's when that extra value that's kind of like invisible, because it's not in boss crystals, comes into play, where that gives you a lot of, it's kind of like invisible value, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
And the pitch is just nice, then you don't have to fuck around with with Sweetwater, right? Because that could be a huge time sink, because there's so much investment cost in building up the dineros.
Yeah. If you want to go with the Dreadnought angle, etc., right?
Yeah. Well, again, my characters are so old, so I have so many Dreadnoughts like on my account already, so that's not a huge problem for some of my... But the newer characters, I start over on all of those as well, so that's not... Like, this guy has a level 5.5 Dreadnought, so it's been a lot of... You
have an armada going there.
Yeah, exactly. Spanish fucking armada going towards... But this guy's... I think this guy's going towards 100 mil. And some of that is probably like more boss damage lines as well, but his... Yeah, because... Yeah, 49.9 on the... I mean, this is like, in terms of WSE, this is also like over...
Crazy.
Yeah, so it's 39 attack, and then 49.9, and 23 and 30. And it's a tier 7 attack as well on the weapon. But this guy, so this guy's 110 with this setup, which I think is about the same. Yeah, that's without the link skills, but I think it only goes up a little bit with that. Yeah, so that's like an order of magnitude stronger. Probably can solo hard Darknell, but that's 24, 25 minutes probably. But that's also without an Ozring. So if you do hit the Ozring, then you can start funding this character very differently. And the first thing I would drop is, no 21 arcanes, but 19s instead.
Oh, yeah,
unless you're drowning in boxes.
Right.
But yeah, so this ring is by far the weaker one, right? It's 117-star ring with 21%. But endlessly waiting for some ring to use in there. The only thing I have now is a Risk Taker 4 that I use in Gloom.
Yeah, right. That makes sense.
But this is like this is a duo C10 party for me. Not because I can't, but because I'm okay duoing it. It's just takes a whole lot of time away from. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. Like you said, otherwise I would just blow up normal and then just take that money, and then this way at least I still have chance for the boxes. And then with Liberation and the boxes, maybe I'm strong enough to start soloing it if I feel like it, or I do the thing where I solo 1 or 2 of them and then do normal on the rest. Just to round out.
It just makes life easier, and it's just the time, right? At the end of the day, it's like, what's the point of doing that boss, right? It's like, do you really need that extra 100 mil? It's like, probably not. For 24 minutes, probably not. Right?
Because it scales so exponentially. So, but then if someone else is like, hey, I need some help to run this boss because I can't quite do it, you'd be like, oh, I'll run with you. Divided by 2 is still always a little bit better than the money from normal. Plus, in time, it'll be manageable, and you give them a chance for a drop. Maybe you have a Roar 3 and you have a chance for Roar 4, like something like that.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess the last 2 things briefly is just honor, and then making drop gear on characters that I do want to do H Lotus meals on, right? So I feel like the idea of, so the first part is going 200% item drop, or at least 180 right? Assuming you don't go for double drop on the characters. But
Yeah.
because if I want to do that as well, I feel like it would be helpful, because if I get a medium drop that's 250% with Legion drop that's 300%, therefore technically increasing the chances of getting black hearts, right? So like what would you do that on your characters too? Like the one who you do want to make.
So it's hard to math out exactly because we don't know the percentage like impact of the lines, right? So you can't say, well, base drop rate is 100%, so if they all have 200%, then I only need like a third of the characters to get like the clears with, right? But there is definitely like without being able to say exactly how much it is, I think there's definitely a percentage where I would push for. I would probably, whether it's 9 or 10 lines on the accessories, that's I think probably half of your characters, if you're pushing for all of them having drop rate and on the way up, like I've worked on Meso Obtain as well on all these characters in the past, so all of them have ended up, well, except for my marksman. Like my hero has 2 of them with double drop rate, and then my marksman doesn't, so my marksman is still a little bit lacking in drop rate. But I've got like I would go for like the medium, because I think if you're running that, you need to scale up on it to make sure that you're doing 12 characters, but you're basically getting the value of as if you had as if you are running it with like 16 or 17 or 18 characters, right? Without that, you the economy of scale, basically, your time becomes even more efficient. So I think you definitely want to do that. So I would go for like the medium drop, or if you want to, you can go for like the large mixed, but that's only 10% difference, so that's definitely way less efficient in those 10%. But like small wops, always drop coupon. I would go for 9 lines on accessories, and then inner ability, and that's connected to the honor that you were talking about, is making an extra inner ability with just that 20% drop top. And there's also more drop rate coming in the Legion artifact system, which will all, based on the amount of characters that you're running with, should have like a decent advantage there as well. Just adding that up on all of those characters. How much do you end up with? Because I think this guy, so this guy has 2 double drop items, and I've got the old. Oh wait, I should know that. So my Cannoneer ends up at 363. But so that's with the. I think that's with 10 lines, and that's with an extra 10 from the spider. But I don't know if I have any inner on that guy. Like my Adele has a large drop, and that guy ends up at like 388, I believe. So that's that's also why that Adele is just like drowning in backups.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, I have the epic 10% line. Yeah. So I think that's totally fine to have for a while, and then so the Cannoneer is around 110 as well. So that's like, but because it's liberated, that gives a lot more utility. So this guy's definitely now a step above where the hero is in terms of damage. But I also have ring availability here, so I've got the continuous 4.
I remember that.
Continuous 3, roar 4. Yeah, so that's what I can do here. I think I have like a hybrid item here. Oh yeah, I have 1 item with double drop. Yeah, so that's with 10 lines, and with the extra spider, and then with 10 in the inner, that gets me to 363, I think, with WAP, coupon, all of that. So anything that's like probably over 3. I think a good aim is probably like anything from like 320 to 350. What you can hit there, is probably so solid.
Like 9 to 10, right? Drop, and then inner ability 10% or around that, so pretty much close to max holy symbol, because especially with the characters, or just dump all the node zones on them, and then medium drop for the most part, because that's just spamming a bunch of rare familiars, right, until it hits. So I think that's pretty reasonable to hit and to get. So but then speaking of, that segues to the last part, which is once again honor for the presets change coming up, right? I never took a look at an honor calculator or anything, but like my bishop isn't AS1 yet, because he has like 20% miso, like 15% item drop, and like whatever, just for leveling and then grinding purposes, right, to get him to where he is now at 270,
you need that hybrid,
right? Exactly. So I was just wondering, like right now, how much should I be allocating and saving so that for my second line I can actually get, you know, the real thing. And the same thing with my main. He doesn't. He's using AS1 38% buff duration, but I have you know, item drop. So how much like honor should I ideally save to roll the correct lines, and that way I can allocate the rest of the bossing meal medals, right, or the honor medals, to my other characters, so I can have enough save. That way they can do the secondary preset for like 20% item drop. You know.
Yeah, so there is our math bro does have a calculator for it, but I've heard some crazy numbers for there that I just don't know how accurate they are, because again, like we're working with like just like consumer data basically. We don't have the actual numbers from Nexon officially for these things, like for cubing and everything. We still don't have those numbers, right? We still don't know what is the actual cube tier up rate of like a bright cube. We don't actually know that officially.
Right.
I know from, I think it was before the very last round of changes, but the very last round of changes wasn't that big. It was more the round before that, which was what I waited to do to kind of redo the interoperability on my characters. So like my cannoneer, I dumped a bunch in, and I kind of stopped now because I feel like this is more than enough. But I probably will redo 2 of them because my crit rate is already a little bit high, and we're getting a lot of crit rate in the Legion artifact system. And I think pretty much every single class except for archers is going to be getting rid of the crit rate in the interoperability completely, because the only characters that would maybe keep critical rate, those are all getting more crit rate in like Korea with balance changes as well, somewhere between like 5 and 15%. So crit rate is not going to be an issue for like any class anymore. It's more like going to be like a damage min-maxing thing for archers. So with that and having only a 10% item drop rate, I'm just going to have to probably redo 2 interoperabilities for this guy. So I was thinking, I'm always thinking like I want to have at least 2 mil to be able to do anything productive. And then if a character is like my main, I'm probably going like towards 5 just to have a buffer. I think my hero, I think my marksman ended up like, you know, circulate to unique best in slot line, right? Lock that, get your top line, and then lock those 2 and try to get something out of the third line. I think just rolling the... Was it crit rate? Yeah, just rolling the crit rate with circulators on my hero was not too bad. Oh no, I rolled 10%. I ended up rolling 10% boss. And I was like, I don't 100% need a crit rate. Like I could go a little bit higher on crit rate. I have a big legion, right? You too as well. You have that as well. So you can kind of make up for the crit rate that way. Maybe throw 1 extra link skill in, you know? And then lock the boss damage to get the attack speed. I think that on this guy cost me like 4.5 mil. Just to get the attack speed, and then locking those 2 in, and then the crit rate came pretty quickly after that. But this guy was like, I think around 7.5 mil or something starting, and it was like starting to run down pretty low. Now that's a while ago, so he's already rebuilt a bunch of it. But then at the same time, the marksman, I did the same thing with the marksman, essentially same kind of idea, slightly different lines, but within the same event. And the marksman did it in like 700k. So like the deviation is like wide as hell, so it's really hard to say like, oh, 1 mil and you're good, you know.
Like my boss mirrors hit like their AS1 like extremely quick, but my Dark Knight hit in like 4 mil, right? So it's like, you know.
If you need it, then it usually takes a while, and then if you don't really need it, you get it all the time.
Exactly.
So for this one, I prioritized the crit rate, and you see the amount left, right? So they had about the same. But this one has 7.6 mil left, doing the same bosses over the same time roughly. And the hero was at what, like 3.8? So this guy, so like 4.5 on the hero, like 700k here. That's the discrepancy between the two of how much they spent. So, you know, anywhere in between, there. But I think like having something like per interoperability, you want to at least get like your 2 perfect lines and something useful on the third line. I see that. I don't know how accurate that number is, but I see that as at least being like 2.5 to 3 mil honor. So not even thinking about like how much is that in circulators on top of that, like in Mezzo, because let's face it, like in terms of that kind of money, if you're thinking about like double priming, you know, fucking accessories, you can afford to circulate for a unique line. Like that's not even part of the equation, really, right?
Yeah. So if we can briefly just cover that, I've never messed with circulators themselves. So is the principle that you buy the cash shop, like the miso thing, where it does it like guarantee like a unique line or something, or like how does that work? And then like then you use the
Oh,
black circulator to just adjust the numbers, right, until you hit the max, and then you go for your AS1.
So the Miracle Circulator, whatever it hits, it always hits the biggest number within the tier. So it eliminates the variance. So that's why.
I see.
Yeah, and for most classes, the highest unique that is like your best in slot is actually really close to a legendary line. So you're getting like a pseudo legendary line within your uniques with the circulator. Then you lock that, and then you roll for your top line, because the top line has less variance, especially if you're looking for like attack speed, because there's just only one type of attack speed, right? So that ends up coming out mathematically. That ends up coming out better that way. If we actually had, if you were able to make like 1 million honor XP per week or something, then we might go about it the other way and just, look for your top line, lock that, look at the other ones, and then finish it off with circulators, right? But because the black circulators are still pretty rare, you kind of use the black circulators to see if you can finish whatever third line it is that you get after you get the 2 that you want, lock that, and just doom roll your honor EXP down to see if you can hit on the third line, essentially.
I see. I think that makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. So Chaos Circulators are mostly used on people who have their 3 line and have gotten them kind of locked into them. And the top line doesn't have variance, like an attack speed, for example, and the other 2 does have variance, and they're on the lower end. Then you can throw Chaos onto that, because if it goes down, you lose like a % damage, which you won't even feel. And then the black circulators are specifically for like number 1 and 2 and maybe number 3 character in your account that have those 2 locked in, and the third line is what you want, but not quite the number that you want.
Gotcha. Okay, and then with that being said, do you still have to get the honor ability to legendary first before you do all that?
Yeah, so, but typically I do that with Miracle Circulators as well, because the tier up rate is good. And everything included, that's like a small, it's kind of like when you're cubing for 3 line. You don't really think even about the cost of tiering up to legendary. That's the basic price. That's like a bill or something, in terms of a project that's like 40, 50, 60, 80, that one bill to get it up to legendary is just like the price to pay. But I typically use circulators there as well. What I would always do is like roll honor until unique and then start circulating basically until I hit the unique line in legendary that I wanted. And that's like the area where I use the Miracle Circulators. That's where I have the budget for that set aside.
Gotcha. So if I was in the unique ability or unique ability, inner ability, and then I use the circulators, at that point, if I hit like the 38% buff duration, right, and I keep that, and it's on the second line, when I try to tier it up to legendary, right, will I still keep that 38%?
So if it's unique and you have 38, then it has to be the top line. So that'll get replaced with a So on my Ice Lightning, for example, I was trying to roll circulators to get to get the buff duration, and I ended up on the tier up from on the tier up to unique. I ended up getting 38 on the top line, so I just kept that, because you'd have to go. It's kind of like hitting. I don't know. It's hard to draw an equivalent with potential, but it's kind of like if you rolled 24% unique or something, and you were only aiming for 21% legendary anyway, you're not going to tier up and then, start rolling to try to hit 24, or then, because then you'd have to hit 27 to make the tiering up worth it, right? Which is just just too high, And then you're going past the money that you were allocating for the project altogether. But in that sense, it's kind of like with familiars that, let's say that you had like Epic Line or something on for buff duration on the unique inner ability, right? And then you tier it up to legendary. It's just going to completely re-roll all of your lines. So it's not like...
makes sense, makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So the idea is, use the half off honor ability, get it to unique, and then you can use circulators, or even you don't even have to wait for half off. But at that point, use the Miracle Circulator to eventually accidentally tier up, right? But then that's just part of the process. And then you get the second line that you actually want. You keep that one, and then you can go ham.
It's like a minimal thing, but it'll show up. The second and third line are just exactly the same, so you don't have to worry about if it's second or third. If a line is unique and another one is epic, the unique line will always show up above the epic line, and then it's possible that if you're re-rolling, that your unique line will get pushed down again by another unique line that's how you know that your unique line is technically the third line, but it'll always get a higher priority if it's the only unique line that you have. And if both of them are unique, then it'll switch back to the regular priority. So sometimes they might switch, so you have to be careful that you know which line you're... Well, it's like highlighted, right? But that's why sometimes they switch around if people have seen that and moving around with their inner ability.
Gotcha.
So I typically do that during 50% off because I try to do it in like one move. So I will have, you know, like a temporary inner ability. So sometimes it'll be like, maybe there's like some boss damage. Maybe it'll just be like the top line is like boss damage, and then there's like one item drop or meso epic line on the bottom, and then that's it. And I'll hold that for a while. But then my idea would be from that to jump in one big jump to a perfect unique line and the top line that you want, at least those two. That's like the minimum next step that you're looking for. So for me, that's always like that's like a 3 million honor jump at least to have some kind of risk aversion and all that.
Yeah, so that makes sense. So like, for example, putting it into practice, I'm going to get ready for my bishop. When the honor presets happen, I'm going to wait for the half off sale, use miracle circulators till I hit 38% unique while it's in the legendary tier. Once that's done, then I can just send it to town with the half off until I hit AS1. And then that pretty much means that I'm set for that thing. Yeah,
you lock the buff duration, hit attack speed 1.
Correct.
For your and then once you have that, that's your bossing one. I would probably at that point just hold the honor and wait for the summer, and then make a summer different preset. You can maybe make a mobbing one if you want, but probably for all of them you're gonna make like a box one with 20% drop top, which if you do that with circulators, again, you'll be guaranteeing yourself that 20%, right? And you don't have the variance if you hit drop.
Right.
And then you could lock that in and see, you know, if you want anything else on that line, if you're gonna use it for mobbing as well. So I guess like ideally for a bishop, you probably want like a 38 buff duration middle line, and then a 20 drop top, and then bottom like 15 meso or something for mobbing, because that's probably good enough to keep like map clear going. But some people might split that over 3 setups, right? Might have one that's something like that, and then but if you have that, then you don't need your box setup anymore. So most people probably only gonna need 2 setups. And then if you have honor left after that, then I would go back to the first one, lock your 2 top lines, and see if you can hit like damage to debuffed, boss damage, any of those lines.
The bonus line, pretty much.
Yeah. And from what I heard, you have it, but like a lot of people are also going to start looking for buff duration, and like the attack lines are probably going to get pushed out for most people because of the extra cooldown reduction on terms and conditions, and the extra buff duration coming in Legion artifact system as well. That the extra buff duration stacking with that is actually going to give a lot of people, especially you as well, like as DPM, like your uptime on terms and conditions is going to be significantly higher, and that'll end up being nice DPM as well.
Gotcha. Okay. So just clarifying, in case I got confused, right?
Sure.
The point of the miracle circulator again is that it gives you the prime, basically the most highest line in that whatever that value is, right? So if I already hit 38% buff duration using that, and I still want like you know, you said about the second one, I want like the 20% item drop, right? I would still use miracle circulator so I can make sure I maximize getting the item drop line at 20%, right? Instead of like hitting the honor, using honor to get 20% item drop, and then, you know, using the whatever that circulator, the one that you buy from event shops, to increase up and down the value. Is the idea that you'd use miracle circulators instead of doing that, so that way you can guarantee you get 20% item drop?
Yeah, you could, like, let's say that you get into the scenario where you actually hit what you want to hit in like 500k, and now you have 3 mil honor left, and the only way you could move that value around is by like 10k per week from like the dojo to make it transferable to another character. Like, fuck all of that. Then you might say like, I'm just gonna roll with honor, and then maybe chaos circulator or black circulate, because you're at a point where you have enough points, you can always afford those things from the shop. You could try it that way as well for like 1 or 2 extra percent. Plus for you, your extra drop rate, not as necessary at this point anymore. Once you hit your rings and you hit your pitch, the drop rate is really just like the speed with which you're going to be progressing. You know, you need it for like grindstones and stuff like that, right? There's always like something, or I guess the augments are probably... Right? Yeah, your fragments. Yeah, so you're looking, but then you're looking. If it's really just fragments, then you're looking for like a mobbing inner-ability rather than just like a box opening inner-ability. So you're again looking for a combo inner-ability, which means that's going to be heavier on the honor exp. So that makes me want to use circulators more again, because then you could basically buying honor with circulators.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha.
And yeah, if you have a character with a unique inner ability, you can also always, if you have the currency, you can buy the legendary circulator, right? That always takes your inner ability immediately to legendary.
From unique? Like, why would you want to do that?
Well, you said, like with the, I think you were giving the example of the bishop, I don't know, but if you're starting with a unique inner ability on a character, and you use the legendary circulator, it just goes to legendary immediately, and then you don't have to keep rolling with like the... Like if you have spare event currency or something, then you don't have to buy the have to buy them and pay with meso. Yeah.
Makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I usually just try to go. Most of my characters, I just send them to legendary on the half off because it's pretty cheap. You just keep spamming that button. But no, that makes sense.
Item is mostly there for non-reboot because they have or like interactive servers, because they have like the paid circulators and everything. So for them, it's a much more valuable item. But for you, I feel like, you know, it's like a side character that happens to be an event, and it's like a new character, maybe still has like an epic inner ability. Might as well slam it on, because, you know, it's basically free at that point.
Yeah, it's probably more applicable now with events, right? And with the, not with events, with the honor preset coming up. Everyone's going to have a second and third line where it's not legendary. So boom, instant legendary.
Yeah. There's going to be plenty of candidates somewhere where, exactly,
Yeah, gotcha.
50, like 55 characters, 110 new presets to make a legendary, so... There's always going to be something where you can slam that,
Yep, alright, sounds good. Yep, I think that pretty much touches base on a lot of things. I think I gave perspective on, like, you know, going 21 Absol versus, you know, Arcanes, and then just the idea of what you want to do with the character and therefore your account. So I just thought, my perspective is a little bit different from kind of pseudo endgame, you know, and then just showing like all the what do you do at this point, right? To still enjoy having fun in the game without like crying after spending like 330 bill and not getting any gains on your main, right? So.
Eventually you could go down that tunnel, but I'm also very much more like, which other character can I guarantee get some significant gains on that are hopefully functional? And if I run out of characters like that, start looking towards what is the next character that you could enjoy. It's hard to say like I'm gonna enjoy this character without it being funded yet to that point, right? Because people always ask like, oh, what character do you enjoy the most? It's like, I mean, kind of my arc, but I don't know how much of that is because I really love the playstyle the most, or it can just do the content the fastest, or it can do the most content because it's the strongest character. It's hard to really separate those two.
Absolutely. That's like saying like, oh, I love Night Lord, but it's because I have a Roar 4, right?
I bet people who don't have a roar at all on a Night Lord are like, oh my god, I'm such a weak class. I'm not even a Night Lord yet. But then I've definitely heard that expression, like, I'm finally a Night Lord. That means that someone hit a Roar 4.
Exactly.
It was the same for my DA, like hitting the continuous 4 was like, now I'm an actual Demon Avenger. Before that, it was like, I tried to rank swap in between a Weapon Jump 4 and a Roar 3 in Darknail, and it just it dropped me damage compared to like a 22-star 3-line Meister ring. So I was like, this...
That's stupid.
Because you have to run away. The combat, the clicking is like, it's just not worth it. And with the continuous, it's just like, well, now you have to always look like, okay, countdown 3, 2, 1, press the button. You know, you have to try
That's
to get the burst. Because it happens too much where I'm doing my dimensional sword spin for exactly 8 seconds, which is the duration of the 4. But then every time you look at, and it's like if it's anywhere halfway or something, then only half of it is hitting in the continuous and half outside. So it's like,
ooh. I was like, do I wait another 8 seconds? You know, time it a little bit more. It's like, no, just send it.
Exactly. Because I like, do I need the bind from the origin? Because then I need to use the origin in beginning as well. So I'm only getting like 7 seconds. And whatever.
I feel like unless I'm like sweating on Colbert or something, I just let continuous do its thing. And then maybe look up for origin. That's it. Everything else, if it happens to hit, it happens to hit.
Well, DA also has 2 hits for origin, so always want to hit the first and the second one in the and then in the next one, and then you kind of use it more as an iframe. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, and don't forget your fatal whenever you time that, right? Yeah, and then just becomes a headache.
Yeah, that's yeah. Well, I just
one day, Scardor,
guide on that. Yeah, one day. Yeah.
That sounds good. That's pretty much it for me. I appreciate your time and thanks for having me.
Okay. Well, yeah. Good luck with everything. Yeah, and you let me know if you're going into extreme BM and that kind of thing. Because yeah, you were, dude. Our last run was so fast. You were so slow on that guy.
And I did pot the black card this time. I don't actually have the solo black mage achievement, so I might just run it solo this month, just so that I can get the achievement, and then I can go straight into another boss with my. I still have the 2 times like drop coupon, so I might just do that into Sea Glue so that I have a chance to get the ET. Yeah, so you can probably plan without me this month, and then you know I'll hit you up for next month and future months. So yeah.
Yeah, because my DA is a bit weaker, but I could just run the DA duo instead of the other duo, and then my arc would be available to basically solo as well this month, or for achievement, or just run some red dot people.
Exactly.
Or, yeah, that'd be fun.
Yep, all good.
Yeah, just let me know what you. Good. So don't count on you for this month, and then the month after that, probably you're starting extreme.
No, I'm not. Our party doesn't have any plans for it yet until we're 285, so we still have a while. But yeah, but for at least this month, I'm probably gonna run solo, and then I'll let you know for the future months, and we'll plan accordingly.
All right. Okay, that
sounds good. All right, good catching up with you. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. All right, have a good one. Bye bye.
All right, peace.
All right, it was my duo or guildie or duo black mage party member for one of the two, but yeah, he basically solo nuked P2 in our run. I was running with the Demon Avenger, I nuked P1, and then he full burst P2 to like 12% left or something. So I was like, yeah, you probably want to be soloing for the money at this point. But again, time constraints, how long do you want to take for all of that stuff? Don't take that too lightly, A lot of times when I'm doing a boss, people are like, why aren't you doing the higher level difficulties? Like, well, because I don't want to. Because if I do that for every single character that can, I'll just be endlessly bossing all day, every day with just no end, without end. So yeah, this is a account that's a lot further in the game than some of the other sessions that we've had. But apparently, this is just 2 years of playing and a little bit of luck, I think, in all of these pitch pieces. Just hit. Just get the drops and just hit. Just hit a lot of all stat. I bring 5 mules with me for debuffing. Yeah, that's something you could do. You could be like, you could join if you bring something to the table. This is me in another year. Exactly. If you're 1 year down, just 1 more year, and then this is it. Just get lucky. Exactly. So yeah, if this was informational to you guys, I'm glad. If you want to see more like this, check out the playlist or something like that. If you want one of these sessions, check out ! Coaching in the chat, or check the description of the YouTube video if you're watching this on YouTube. And if you want one of these sessions for free, make sure you leave a comment, including your Discord name, saying that you would like to win, and then you could be one of the 2 lucky people. Last month, there was only 1 person in the entire month who left a comment, so I reached out to them. But so the odds of winning are very high, very good. People who have these sessions increase their final damage by at least 23%. It varies. If you're a lower level person and you feel like there's still a lot of things you don't know about, you might double or triple your damage like within a few weeks. If you're already this far in the game, of course, it's more like direction than me telling you like, oh, you definitely, this is definitely something you're doing completely wrong, because otherwise you wouldn't get this far in the game, right? Understandably. But yeah, hopefully it was entertaining and informational for you guys, and I'll see you either in the next one or live on stream. I stream on Twitch every day, twitch.tv/Scardor, so feel free to jump on by. I have a lot of commands, a lot of information. We didn't go through that much of it, but this is all available through bots as well that are all pre-programmed with this information that you can use even when I'm offline. So feel free to bookmark those pages or use them at your leisure. See you then, or on the next video. Thanks for watching.